Okay, so we're back. And so I'm carrying on with a theme that we did last week about a name. Remember, I was so upset because about my name and where my name came from. And then I got to
You're
thinking
gonna be.
about it. My sister, she came along 9 years after I did. Remember
She's got a youngster.
I didn't even get it out of the hospital with a name. They had to name me, I guess, as I was going out
Cubby.
the door. And then it was because they saw, I don't know how they came. But my sister, they thought about hers. And I mean, my sister got her name from my dad's favorite movie star, Suzanne Plachette. Instead of doing Suzanne Plachette, though, he did Suzanne Jeanette. So she got
I'm sorry.
special. I know.
I'm sorry.
I get this name Cubby, and then I get two names thrown together and then it's a well thought out name from his special. So I had to throw that in as a funny thing.
What's her name again? Suzanne.
Susan Jeanette.
Jeanette.
And no, it's not Jeanette. I mean, it's spelled Jeanette, but Daddy always
Jeanette.
it was all. It's got the
Cute,
apostrophe, and it's like Jeanette.
A little bit of French here.
A little bit of yes, and then his sister was Jean, so he just combined it. But anyway, yeah. So Susan Jeanette, and I get
Cubby,
and then I get Karen Denise, and not even like I said, no offense against my cousins, but I mean, she gets a movie star name, and I get because it's his favorite, and I get my anyway, it's okay. But I thought about that and I said, I have got to remember to tell you that my sister, yeah, she gets a wonderful.
No, see, ours got stuck on the ends, almost the whole family, except the youngest of the group. She got a different name completely, but there's Joanne, Mary, and Roseanne, Rosemary. And I think even my cousin Sandra might be Sandra Ann. I'm not sure because the way and 3 of the Anns went to school together. So it was like, which one are you? I'm the oldest one. Oh, Marianne, Joanne, Rose. No, Joanne. Okay, you got that. So I don't know. They got stuck on the Anns, and that's because when your grandmother's an Anna, and you've got a Rose, and you've got a Joseph, and you've got all of these, and you've got a Mary involved in there. So there's Roses and Anns and Marys all mixed up in everything. Now my sister was smart. She took a different middle name. So hers doesn't fit with anybody in the family, which is cool. But mine was Rose. I can be thorny sometimes, so I guess that's okay. I'm sure people think that. So I'm glad you told me that. It's really funny.
Not trying to get sympathy, people. I'm just telling you. That's where I'm at in life. It's all in a name.
Soot and Ash. Those are nice short names. It's like really short. And they're fun names. And someday we'll have to again explain how we got to that. But no, we can be a little sooty and a little ashy all the time. I can always make an ash of myself. Soot you can.
Yes, and I can.
So
I can be sooty.
Who knows what we're going to talk about at any time? Last night we were talking about
the
Iron Dome. That was the first one.
The Iron Dome. I mean, I throw things out at her because I know she's a researcher, and plus she's this science. She's my Bill Nye or my
sort of. I'm like.
So anyway, and so it's like if I have a question, I'm like, okay, so I have researched this, but what are your thoughts? And then all of a sudden she'll be like, oh, I understand this. And the world's surface and the Earth's surface is like 3/4. And I'm like, and then she's looking at me. Do you understand what I said? Your hair is pretty. She sees my wheels turning, but she doesn't know if that means that they're like grinding to this halt, or if they're just like.
Overload, offside.
So,
so the iron, I think it's like a misnomer.
Because Israel, I've been reading and listening to Israel, and they've been talking about the Iron Dome, and I was like, well, it can't be an Iron Dome, and I was like trying to figure out exactly.
Can we?
Because I'm like, I don't understand why other countries don't have it, but I guess because Israel gets attacked so much.
And we have it.
And there's such a short
in that type of form, because what it said something about their mobile units that when they detect a missile will automatically go up and take them down. So thinking of a dome is one thing, but they must have them so they're all around.
Yes, but so it
Yeah.
must go like it must somehow like cover, because I think it's mostly over
Well,
what,
it probably.
Jerusalem, or is it mostly over the city of?
I don't.
I don't think it's. I mean, it can't be over the whole nation, so it's got
Well,
to be
they're
like
mobile.
over the.
Whatever are the mobile units.
And maybe it does. Maybe it covers from one area, and maybe this side of Israel, and then that side, and then it protects. It's. I'm still
Does
trying
it
to
like the
figure it out.
missiles? As soon as it
Hmm.
detects the missiles, which probably is using a heat detection. Like you see in the movies where you'll see a plane and they'll zero in and they'll shoot the missile and it's going to follow the trail of the plane. So that's how I figure these anti-missile projectiles happen to be. So they're looking for any heat signature that comes up, and then they can deploy whatever is there. So it was kind of interesting.
It is interesting to me, and yeah, it's very interesting to me.
And yeah, I haven't looked at the news lately, so because it gets me that does upset me. That
Hmm.
really puts me way offside. If you want to talk about that again, it's like, oh, John, okay, so what's happening? Well, and while we're sitting here talking about that, look over on the wall there. What's hanging there?
Jerusalem.
Isn't that something?
That is interesting. I never.
That's been
Yeah,
hanging there for probably a
in
year.
the U.S.
Yes.
Hmm. Mm. So still praying for those people, but then I went off on another thing, because I was like, okay, so I've been reading up on the sun. Don't ask me why. She gets me things that pop in my mind now scientifically, and it's really stirring up the science side of me, because I do like science, and I liked science in school, and I did fairly well with it.
Okay,
But
then.
anyway, so now I go, and if I have something, I'll go research it. So then I brought it to her, and I was trying to understand like an eclipse, because I mean, if the sun is like 93 million miles away, and then you got this little bitty moon, so you got this little bitty moon in front of this huge sun like this. Look,
That's
there's the
right.
moon, there's the sun, and the moon is supposed to eclipse it at times. And I'm like, it makes no sense to me. And that's when the wheels stop spinning, because
Offside. It's like, shift. So I
time out.
so I went and I found my dynamic astronomy book by Robert T. Dixon. So we're giving him credit for all of this. And they have all about solar eclipses and the sun. And boy, that one is really out of. And see, here's what we're talking about right there. You might not be able to see it, but that's really good. That's the sun. I can find the sun. There's the sun, obviously yellow, and then the earth, and then the moon in between. And they show the shadows. And you see how the angle, remember I was trying to do that drawing on paper towel?
Yeah, and she was like, and the angle of this and this and this, and she's doing it on this. And first of all, she started off on something else, and she was like, you got to have this angle. I need a piece of paper. And then she started going, and I'm like, and then she was, are you understanding?
She's like, sure.
Deer in the headlight, look. Sure,
Sure
sure.
I do. Sure I do. If I say
She's
sure
like,
I do, she'll shut up.
I'm like, okay, and now I gotta go home and process. Okay.
So I got this out this morning. I went upstairs and I found it. And it's all, they talk about the shadow, the umbra, the dark, and then the penumbra that goes off. And it's just shadows. And you can see how that when the sunlight comes down, and if the moon is directly in between that one portion of the earth, it's going to shadow that one spot. Just anything in between. Like if my finger gets in front of your eye, is there a shadow there? Yes, there is. You see? That's the eclipse. Very simple. That's all it is. Did you
I'm
get
gonna
that?
do some testing.
Well,
Because I mean I get it.
because if I ask you to look at something and your finger's in the way, and you can try it. That's the eclipse. Close one eye and then just put your finger in front of your eyes, and you can't see the window, and you can't see the lamp. because your finger's in the way. And that's how the moon is working in terms of the sun. And you do it a little bit, and it's like, oh, it's just a little out of whack. So, so that's a total solar eclipse. And there was one in the Northeast. There was going to be almost a total solar eclipse. Was it last week or this week?
There is something happening this Saturday.
Okay, then that
There's
may be
something
it.
happening this Saturday. There was something that happened supposedly in September, and then there's another event that's happening this supposedly this Saturday. But I don't know what part of the earth or who can see
I
or what.
think my husband said that he thought it was going to be in the Northeast, because he said something about if we were living in New York, we'd see it better. And we have seen a few. You still never look at them, because all of that, the rays, still very dangerous. And people are looking at it, and they want to see how the moon is slowly crossing in front of the sun and making that total eclipse. But in the meantime, you're looking with your naked eyes, but not safe. You can have, if you're using certain telescopes, you can put filters on. There are certain filters that will cut those out. Certain sunglasses. There's actually the little, we used to have, for school, we used to have it looked like aluminum foil, like a two-way mirror type thing. And because it would reflect some of the sunlight back, you could look through it. If you have none of those options, the fun way to do it is to get a big pan of water and put it outside and get at your angle so you can watch the sun in the water, and you can watch the whole eclipse by looking at that. We did that. There was a puddle on a macadam, and it was black, but the sun would shine across it, and you could see the sunlight, and you could see the whole eclipse looking in that puddle. Safe, easy, and cheap. And you can watch it, and you don't have to have your head up in the air. You can just look down and watch the puddle, and you can take pictures of it too, which is kind of cool. So we've done that. All these little, I have more crap in my head.
Fertilizer.
Fertilizer, yes. Fertilizer.
You're sharing the fertilizer with me, and you're
yes.
helping me to grow.
So there's so many different fun things that can do like that. And then we're talking about constellations and Orion's belt.
Yes.
And some people are like, oh my gosh, do they even understand any of this? And truthfully, I can't remember the constellations. I look up there and I only know a few of them, like the Seven Little Sisters, the little cluster. And they're really Seven Little Sisters, and Orion's belt, and the Big Dipper, and the Little Dipper, and the North Star. But if I had to stand there and point out everything, forget it. Because to me, my brain doesn't work those stars very well, and I just can't do it. But people have to understand. Let's see if I can find a section here that constellations. You have to look in a certain part of the sky, and I'm probably just somebody probably said, well, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Look at this. Isn't this a pretty picture? Constellations. There's the ecliptic.
No, that must be by season too.
Yes, spring, winter, summer, fall. And the ecliptic, now, that's really cool. The ecliptic is like our Milky Way, okay? It is a line that is a horizontal line. Let me see if I can find a spot in here. We don't even need to look about the ecliptic, but now, see, I got curious. When I get curious, I have to go back and remember what my brain was thinking before.
Because you're trying to explain something.
Yes,
to us,
and I'm
you need to
old.
be able to.
Yes, well, when after a while, ecliptic 119. I love these books. I love books.
And see, I wonder if kids are really getting all this now, or if they're teaching to the SOL so much that they can't really learn. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, so the seasons and revolution of the earth. And let's see what they have. The sun. See, they have all the different prominence of all the. They're not telling the ecliptic. Did I have the right page? Do you know what you're talking about, Joanne? The ecliptic, 119, actually. Eclipse, ecliptic. 119. I don't see.
Ecliptic.
Ecliptic derives from the eclipse, for it is within this plane that the sun and the moon will occur. The ecliptic plane is extended until it cuts across the sky. It will describe a circle through the signs of the zodiac. Okay, so that's what they are. The axis of the earth, the axis of rotation of the earth were not tilted, then this would be a 90-degree angle. So it's our angle to the ecliptic. So you're putting a line through everything. It's called the ecliptic. But anyway, there's the zodiac. So
Well,
back to
but I mean, just what you said right there. You're putting this line through this.
through space.
But I mean, it's kind of like playing soccer with no ball.
I like, you know what I call it? That's been done too. The ecliptic. Think of the ecliptic like the Earth has an equator. That's the ecliptic for our solar
So it's
system.
okay.
Okay, sort of think of it like that.
Okay.
Okay, that's the only way I can really think of it.
Okay, so it's like it's okay.
Yeah,
it's like this solar system's equator.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
that's how I can figure it. And then
See,
we can figure it out. Yes, and if anyone wants to
solar
argue,
system
fine.
for dummies. There we go.
If you want to argue, fine. Come on, and you can have the whole class. And they show you the stars and all that stuff and the apex and things. But we were talking about constellations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And and I was telling you that the ironic thing is the Native Americans and the Greek put almost similar figures to the same constellations.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
There were some differences, but like Orion, he was the hunter or whatever, and I think they had the same type of thing. And I'm wondering if it's because of, you hear Orion's belt, because it looks like a belt where they would carry a sword, or the belt where they would put across to carry their arrows. You see, and they see that in space. So I have no idea, but I do know. I mean, think about it, because that's called Orion's belt. And the constellations, I should have done that first. Constellations.
Yeah, I don't even know how many there are. So, but I just look up at the stars and I'm just like, oh, they're so pretty.
I don't even see it in here. They don't.
Hmm.
Well, that one page had them
Mm-hmm.
that we were on. Oh, look at this. Oh, I have a book that we're looking at right now, this dynamic. And I'm going to show you something.
Okay.
It's a flip book. Watch up in the corner.
So is it the solar system?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
And the sun is moving.
Hmm.
It's a flip book.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm.
I could tell you a flip book about soccer too. And on the other side, look at this. We got the constellations.
And they're kind of moving too and doing interesting. I mean, you got to sit there though and look at the stars and be able to draw the lines and figure out what they are.
Stars in general.
I look at clouds and try to figure out, oh, what does that one look like? And sometimes they're pigs. And
You know how long ago I've been in this book? Distance and parallax.
That sounds like something you take for a stomach issue.
Distance and parallax. Parallax.
That's Miralax. Excuse me.
Parallax. That's interesting because it is. You decide on what you have. What is your dominant eye?
Yeah. That's funny.
It's funny. No, I don't. I want the constellations. Holy smokes! Interstellar gases. Do you have interstellar gas? Depends on how many beans you've eaten the night before, and you may have. There's Orion.
Depends on if I've taken my parallax. I don't know.
There's Orion, and in Orion there's a nebula. That's the nebula, the Orion Nebula.
See, I feel like now we're back in Star Trek or something.
Anyway, so we were talking about these, and I'm trying to find all the constellations. the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper.
Hmm.
And if you have to know where to look, and if you get in the right spot, you'll get the right.
Some of them, she said, are in the southern hemisphere, where you got to look south, and then the
Yep.
other one you've got to look to the north to get. And I was like, okay.
And of course, different. I mean, they're not going to travel. Orion, well, where our latitude here is about 37 degrees north, where we are.
If she says so.
If you look on Google Maps, they'll sometimes give it to you. Or if you have Merlin, the app on your phone to identify birds. Oh, you don't have that. Oh, that's another whole topic. Anyway, they will give you latitude and longitude of your location.
Yeah, because you got to make sure your bird feather don't fall in the wrong place.
And you make sure you don't touch a feather that's been migrating.
Yeah, exactly.
We've
So
learned that
yeah.
we'd be in a lot
Well,
of trouble.
okay, so they got apps for birds. Okay.
Oh yeah, we could do a whole thing on that one. Yes, it's apps for bird. It's out of Cornell.
I probably could find an app for the stars then.
Ooh, we should do that. That boy, that's you're right on top today.
I took my vitamins.
Eat some more chestnuts, we'll be fine, right? Anyway, if you look straight ahead, above your head is called a zenith. All right, if you draw a line east west, because you know north, south, east, west. Never eat soggy Wheaties. That's how you remember it. Never eat soggy Wheaties. So you have no, and then anything to the south would be the southern constellation. Anything to the north would be the northern constellation. And Orion is in the southern part of that area. And the Big Dipper and Little Dipper.
And we're looking at the sky just like
It's
we're
like-
looking, and we're looking up like there's something up there.
And if any of you ever watch us, you may start doing the same thing. So, so it's really pretty. And then if there's Polaris, there you go. So look at there's Polaris. See? No, never eat soggy Wheaties. And there's the equator. Anyway, and so you can find the northern stars, Polaris. And I know that some people always thought, oh wow, the northern star, it's that big bright. It's not bright. And it does give us what we consider the North Pole, but it is not magnetic north, which you use with a compass. Okay. So you have geographic north and magnetic north. And if you look at a topographic map, it's called angle of declination, and that is the distance between your spot and your magnetic compass point and Polaris. So you have to adjust on your maps if you do that. Anyway, so if you can find the dippers, and I can't remember which one of the dippers.
I know a few dips.
Yeah, I do too. You ever see that? You ever watch BC, the cartoon BC? You ever see the cartoon strip BC?
Mm-hmm. Been a long time, but yes.
Yes. And it says, beware of Dippin' Road when you're riding along and it's a person. I've got that cartoon. I used to use them. Dippin' Road. I'm trying to find constellations, but I can't. All I can find is,
And we're
look
going
at
to
this,
be.
we got to rocks. Moon rocks. Are we over already?
We're about over, so yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, see, and this is a good book. We could spend a lot of time on this book. But I need to talk to you about Merlin sometime. Because you will enjoy Merlin.
It's not the wizard.
No, it's a bird.
Okay.
I believe a Merlin is a type of hawk or kestrel.
Okay. That'll be a topic for another day, right?
Yes, and we can show you how to get it on your phone.
All right, sounds good. All right, well, folks, we will talk at you later, and go out and enjoy the stars.
And
Even if you don't know what you're looking at,
just
and
enjoy
look up
them, and you'll find some shooting ones. We should be setting pretty soon into the shooting star age time. There will be some. Yep, should be coming up. The
I didn't know there
Cepheids.
was a time
See
for
the
them.
Cepheids.
I didn't know
Well,
there was a time for them.
yes, and usually some of the big ones are in the wintertime, and it's
We
very
can make
cold.
some wishes.
Oh, we could talk about those. Those are so cool and what they are.
All right,
All right.
we'll talk at you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Merlin is so good.